Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another video. Today I'm going to be predicting every starting quarterback in the NFL for 2024. This video focused on the AFC. Some of these are extremely obvious, others very hard to predict, but here we go, beginning with the Baltimore Ravens, and we know the Ravens will be starting Lamar Jackson at quarterback in 2024, the two-time MVP winner. I will say, Lamar Jackson did have kind of a weak MVP season. I guess it got down to them having to give it to someone. I honestly thought Christian McCaffrey was going to win it, but it is a narrative-based award. And, everyone kind of knew towards the end of the season Lamar was going to win it. He will be the starting quarterback for the Ravens. The Cleveland Browns will be starting Deshaun Watson. We'll see. They're very likely to bring back Joe Flacco, considering how well he did as a backup, but Deshaun Watson, the amount of money he's making, he's not going to get traded. There's been some rumors about that. His contract is just too big. He will be starting for the Cleveland Browns next season in Week 1. He's had injury issues with the Browns. We'll see if he can stay healthy. The Pittsburgh Steelers, so this is kind of the first team where I'm going to throw a wild card in there and say Russell Wilson will be the Steelers starting quarterback Week 1 of 2024. I think it gels with what Mike Tomlin wants, more of a defensive, veteran-focused team. Kenny Pickett, he's clearly not a future starting franchise quarterback in this league, let's just be honest. I mean, sure, you can see players like Geno Smith resurrect their careers, but at this point, Kenny Pickett, I'd be very surprised if the Steelers hitched their wagon and invested another year into Pickett's development. It's not like they invested a high top 10 pick on him. He was picked 24th overall in an extremely weak quarterback class. I think Russell Wilson, the vet, will come in and be the Pittsburgh Steelers starting quarterback. He wasn't terrible with the Broncos. He wasn't great either. Did he deserve to be benched? At this point, I would say kind of a mediocre quarterback. He could win 9 or 10 games, although the AFC North is very tough. I'm guessing the Steelers are going to be around 500 next year. The Cincinnati Bengals will be starting Joe Burrow, of course, at quarterback. Dealt with some injury problems this past year. The Bengals trying to get healthy again with Burrow, Chase, and T. Higgins, getting him on that franchise tag. Health will be the biggest key for them for sure. The Buffalo Bills will be starting Josh Allen. Josh Allen at this point, I think, kind of underrated. I was looking at Josh Allen's Football Reference. He's only made the Pro Bowl twice. I don't know how that's possible, but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Josh Allen gets his first MVP next year. Although, you look at this Bills team, there are some big question marks. Their salary cap situation is not good. Stephon Diggs getting older, kind of having a tough year. I do think Dalton Kincaid, the young tight end from Utah, who they drafted in the first round this past year, will break out in his second year next year. The Buffalo Bills obviously starting Josh Allen. The Miami Dolphins obviously starting Tua Tagovailoa. They've got very good receivers with Waddle and Tyreek Hill. We'll see if Tua can take the next step. I will say the Dolphins, they did fizzle down the stretch, but they got kind of screwed being a warm weather team, having to travel to Kansas City to play in negative weather. But again, this is a team that midway through the season, it looked like they could have potentially been a 1 seed, and they end up having to go on the road and they lose and are a one and done in the playoffs. But Tua will for sure be the starting quarterback for the Dolphins next season. For the Jets, it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. We'll see what they do with the backups, but obviously Rodgers trying to come back in the same season from his injury. It was never going to happen. There was no reason for it. The Jets were never going to do anything without Aaron Rodgers, but we'll see how well Rodgers can play at this point. Very high up there in terms of age. The Jets, they haven't had a good quarterback in seemingly forever. I guess they did have Ryan Fitzpatrick. He randomly had that one good year when he would always beat Tom Brady. That was fun, but yeah, Aaron Rodgers will be the starting quarterback for the Jets. We'll see if Garrett Wilson can really break out and have possibly a 1,400 or a 1,500 yard season with Rodgers at the helm for an entire year. The New England Patriots, I am predicting with the number 3 overall pick, will be drafting Drake May. So right now, when it comes to predictions, I think guaranteed Caleb Williams is the number 1 overall pick. Sure, you're going to hear things and people say, during the process, the combine, Caleb Williams has issues. Maybe the Bears should look in a different direction. Maybe the Bears will keep Justin Fields. That's all noise. In my opinion, they're for sure drafting Caleb Williams. So it comes down to what do the Commanders do with the number 2 overall pick? And I do believe just a gut feeling, because there's really nothing else you can base it off of at this point. We're so early in the process. The Commanders will be drafting Jaden Daniels, the Heisman Trophy winner, over Drake May. So Drake May would be going to the Patriots. There are also rumors saying the Patriots might try and take a veteran quarterback like Kirk Cousins and then just draft Marvin Harrison Jr., the generational receiver. I don't see them doing that. When you've got 3 potential franchise quarterbacks and you have a top 3 pick and you need a QB, you do not pass up on that opportunity. And I think Drake May goes to the Patriots and he starts week 1 there. Moving out of the Houston Texans, it's obviously the young superstar CJ Stroud. I mean, he was kind of in the MVP race as a rookie. That's extremely rare. When people were trying to say Puka Nacua should win, the Rookie of the Year, that's just so ridiculous. When you're a rookie quarterback and you lead a team that had the number 2 overall pick to the playoffs, there's no other option when it comes to Offensive Rookie of the Year other than CJ Stroud. Just throws an amazing deep ball, great touch. The ball comes out of his hand amazingly well. He will be their starting quarterback next year. The Jacksonville Jaguars will obviously be starting Trevor Lawrence. He is their franchise quarterback. Kind of had some injury, was banged up last year. The Jaguars not having a great season, but that is a wide open AFC South. We'll see if they can win it next year. The Colts will be starting Anthony Richardson. So Richardson in his limited time did show promise, but he did get injured. He's kind of a dual threat. It's a problem. Drafted 4th overall, very raw out of Florida. Kind of a little bit of a surprising pick that he went that high due to his development, but I will say he did show promise. There were a lot of flashes, or at least a few flashes with the Colts, and I do think the Colts kind of have an underrated team going into next year. The Tennessee Titans will be starting Will Levis. I thought Will Levis, crazy story with him. There were people thinking he could have been the number 1 overall pick, and he falls to the 2nd round, and the Titans get him kind of as a bargain. He will very likely be their starting quarterback in week 1 of next year. Going to be a huge year for Will Levis because they didn't invest a lot into him, just a 2nd round pick. If he really struggles next year, the Titans very likely are just going to move on because there's not that high investment to where we have to stick with a guy if we drafted him with a high 1st round pick. So big year next year for Will Levis. He definitely has the physical tools. We will see if he can put it all together. Moving on to the Kansas City Chiefs, it is Patrick Mahomes right now, potentially on track to be the greatest quarterback of all time with the amount of Super Bowl rings, with the MVPs, with the team success, with the passing yards, with the total touchdowns. It is ridiculous. It'll be interesting if the Chiefs try and get him a true number 1 receiver with Travis Kelce getting older and older and really having his first year where you could definitely tell age is becoming a significant factor for him. When it comes to the Las Vegas Raiders, I am predicting that Justin Fields will be their starting quarterback going into 2021 week 1. They've had older quarterbacks. They tried the Jimmy G thing. It didn't work out. I think they go younger, and I put Justin Fields or possibly J.J. McCarthy. I'm expecting J.J. McCarthy to land somewhere mid-1st round. The Raiders have a pick to where they could make it happen, and it just depends on the draft process. For me, it'll either be Justin Fields or J.J. McCarthy. I could be completely wrong, of course, but that's just kind of what I'm feeling right now from the Raiders. They want to get a lot younger than where they've been recently with some of these quarterbacks. Then you do have the Denver Broncos. I'm going to go Bo Nix. I do think Bo Nix, once we go through the draft process, will be seen as the superior quarterback to Michael Penix Jr. I'm expecting Michael Penix Jr. to fall to the 2nd round and Bo Nix to be a quarterback picked inside of the 1st round. I think the Denver Broncos draft him. He's got a lot of experience. He is older, which is going to knock him, obviously, but it's also going to enable him to start week 1 of the 2024 season out of Oregon. He was about to win the Heisman going into the final conference championship week of college, but he ended up losing the final game and not winning. And then moving on to the final team, it is the LA Chargers. And of course, with Jim Harbaugh there now, the quarterback will not change. It'll be Justin Herbert for sure. I would expect them to draft an offensive lineman, maybe Brock Bowers with that top 10 pick, although we will see. But either way, that is just the AFC edition of trying to predict every starting NFL quarterback for week 1 of 2024. That's going to do it for this video, guys. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.